Hey, Pat Rigsby here, and in today's episode, I want to talk with you about building your audience. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the Fitness Business School podcast, the show for fitness business owners who want to grow their income, increase their impact, and improve their lifestyle. Be sure to listen till the end of this episode because we have a brand new special offer exclusive for listeners. So stay tuned.
Having owned businesses for over 20 years now, it's been this interesting kind of journey to try to reconcile what never changes and along with the things that I think are constantly evolving. I mean, when I started my first business, there was no Facebook, or at least there was no Facebook publicly used as part of what we did. There were no iPhones. The way that we used email was a little bit different. Zoom was not a thing. Text messaging was not a thing. There were a lot of things that we did differently in order to connect, to communicate, to build relationships. But at the same time, there are certain things that frankly haven't evolved all that much. I mean, we see people using sweepstakes to do grand openings or pre-sales, to build lead lists or whatever else. And I mean, we were doing that stuff back with lead boxes long before I got into the industry. Follow-up has always been a thing, even dating back to my time. Recruiting is when I was introduced to it when I was a college baseball coach. But I mean, people had tickler files and that sort of stuff, and they just followed up relentlessly. There were so many things that really haven't evolved that much. But if I'm looking at the things that have worked well for me over the last 20 years, one of them that always kind of climbs to the forefront is audience building. And every time that I kind of start to deviate from just building an audience of people who have some sort of alignment with the things that I do, the desires that I help people achieve, the problems I help them solve, and try to maybe overqualify by asking them to make an investment at the beginning of the relationship or selling directly upfront to cold traffic or whatever, it really throttles the growth and progress of my business. And logically, I think I can wrap my head around how that works for some people, and some people do great with it. It can be a numbers game. Maybe they're wonderful at the metric side of things. But I mean, I'll give you a really personal example with my own business. For basically about 10 years, with the exception of maybe 8 months, I used pretty much the same lead magnet, a book that I wrote that was widely consumed, that was frankly successful. I was proud of it. I felt like it was a good kind of first step in a relationship for me, along with the person that maybe I could eventually have as a client, because I write a lot. And so it was the written word. So if somebody was really anti-reading, then they probably aren't going to like me very much. But it detailed my philosophy. It was written in the tone that I communicate if you're sitting in my office. And it worked like crazy for the better part of 10 years. And I deviated only briefly during the pandemic because I had an online certification that helped people learn to coach and serve people online. And I just decided to give it away at the beginning of the pandemic to help people kind of weather the storm, all these things that maybe they didn't have a whole lot of experience with. But other than that, I stuck with that book, and it worked like crazy. And then after a while, I decided I'm going to try kind of a low cost approach to building a buyer's list. And I started selling what I think is an incredibly valuable product at a steep discount as the front end instead of a free book. And it just did okay. And the sales copy was good. I mean, I had it reviewed by people in the industry, out of the industry. The social proof was good. The value exchange was really high. I don't think I would have felt like it was not even still a great value exchange if I had to charge 20 times as much. I mean, I was selling this thing for like $5 and I'd have felt pretty good selling it for $100 because how valuable the program is. But it just throttled the start of so many relationships that if I would have lowered the friction up front and said, look, hey, I'm going to lead by helping, we would have started relationships with a lot more people. Now, are we going to get more people who are not necessarily a good fit for the things that we do long term? Sure. Without a doubt. The wider the net you cast, the more people that may not be a great fit for what you do that you're going to encounter. But from my perspective, I'd rather qualify people through the journey than at the start. I'd rather qualify people through sending them emails and saying, hey, you know what, this isn't for me, or directing them to this podcast and say, look, I don't like how slow he talks or his funny accent or whatever else. It's fine. But for me, that's a better way to do it, because then if somebody makes it through to the finish and we actually have a conversation and we get to connect on a phone call or at a live event and they become a client, I know that they've gotten to know me and it's going to be a pretty good fit. So that's why I think that I've had such good fortune in having better retention than any other business coach in the industry. Heck, I've got people that worked with me dating back to like 2006 that are still around, and I'll be here as I record this next week at live meetings. And I think because of that investment in the relationship, making small incremental deposits and letting people kind of self-select rather than trying to hyper-qualify somebody in the beginning, it just works better. And so often people, they qualify by the wrong filters. If you ask Facebook ad experts, if you ask some of the other people who do business coaching, they'll talk about qualifying people by their ability to buy. And I'm like, man, it's logically, it makes sense. Emotionally, it doesn't work. So when I moved to Louisville, where I live now, my neighbor on, if you're facing our house, my neighbor on the left was one of the original founders of Long John Silver's. And if you're not familiar with Long John Silver's, they were a really popular restaurant franchise in the 70s, grew to over 1,200 locations. They still exist. I mean, he exited that many years ago. And this gentleman was, by any standard, very wealthy, right? I'm sure that his net worth was either approaching or exceeding 9 figures. And he, by that metric, he would have been qualified for anybody's fitness program, right? Yet you could have charged $2 a month and he would have felt like this was not a good fit for him. There was no desire. There was no emotional draw to something in our industry. But if you flip on the other side and you say, okay, somebody has a strong desire to change. Somebody has a strong desire to lose weight, to improve their health, to improve their self-image. Man, they'll find a way, right? They'll reorganize their budget to make things happen. I've sold training programs to so many people that their desire was the driver, and that was how they found the money. I mean, they'd work overtime to be able to afford things. And I think so if we try to qualify too early and we don't build an audience, we're missing out on the fact that qualification that early in the relationship, sometimes we're choosing the wrong filters and we're weeding out people who could be some of our best clients. So when I kind of dive back into audience building all the time, I guess the way I think of it, it's kind of like the golden goose, right? Instead of looking for the golden egg, it's what's going to keep producing golden eggs over and over. So if you're not audience building, if you're not investing time and money into building a community of people who have the desire to solve the problems that you help people solve or achieve the goals you help people achieve, I think you're probably stepping over dollars to pick up nickels. I think that you're missing out on some of this. Now, that could be giving away a 7-day guest pass to your facility, which I think is qualifying people by desire, right? It's a stronger qualifier because it's actually asking them to get out of their comfort zone and walk into a place and start on a program sooner rather than later. Or you can give away a book or some sort of guide or a collection of videos or something that just illustrate how somebody can solve a problem or achieve a goal. And that's probably a lower friction, maybe weaker filter, but you're going to get a bigger audience that just may take a little bit longer to convert. But again, kind of circling back to what I was touching on in the beginning, I think that audience building is one of those things that people really miss out on because they spend so much time trying to accelerate the relationship, and they want to do what I would consider like the equivalent of getting married before they've had a first date, right? They've never even asked somebody their name. They're just concerned about their part of the transaction. That's why when you hear the phrase high ticket, usually what that means is I'm only really interested in my side of the value exchange. High ticket is a high price tag. They didn't say, okay, what's in it for the other person? What desires are we going to help them achieve? What problems are we going to help them solve? We're only really concerned about our piece. And those are the people who often get really transactional about things and try to expedite the relationship and put things on their timeline. I think you'd be so much better off if you build an audience and say, man, I'm going to find as many people in my market, whether it's a local market or an online market, that have a desire that I can help them achieve. And if I find those people, they're going to be more than enough who are going to be the right fit for the way that I help them go about this. The price point, the format, the personal kind of connection. That, I think, is the most durable, sustainable way to build a business that I've known over the 20 years that I've been doing this. So if you've not been prioritizing audience building, you should. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Fitness Business School. Before you go, I have a quick announcement. One of the things that we've been doing with our current clients is taking them through this ideal business diagnostic. And really what it is this checklist that allows you to pinpoint exactly what your business needs next so you can keep improving, keep growing, and build a business that you love to own. One that pays you well, one that allows you to have the impact you want to have, and one that allows you to have a lifestyle that you truly enjoy. In this diagnostic, we walk through everything and we do an evaluation and can instantly pinpoint what you need to do next to build that business that you want. I'm going to extend this opportunity to get on with either me or my team and take you through this evaluation and fix your business's most vital needs fast. So if we take you through this, you're going to be able to make those vital changes that you need to finally have what I call your ideal business. If you'd be interested in going through this entirely free, risk-free diagnostic with us and learn what you already have in place, what you're doing well, and where your greatest opportunities for rapid improvement are, just shoot me an email with diagnostic in the subject line to pat@patrigsby.com. Again, an email to pat@patrigsby.com with diagnostic in the subject line will get you scheduled and take you through this evaluation to help you build the business you want.